Hello, hello. I'm super excited to be here with each and every one of you tonight. Before I dive into who I am and what I do and why I'm here, I'm just going to take a minute and see if I can share this out because I always love when people with me. So let me lower it down to start off with and just sharing it all out, letting everybody know that I am here who can hop in and play with me. Apparently, my page doesn't want to pop in. So, anyway, whatever the case is. So, for those of you who are popping in with me, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Reverend Joanne Angel Cologne. I am the founder of Holistic Fitness and Why, and I serve and help women over 40, helping them to get strong and reminding them that weights are their friend. My mission, my purpose, and my topic for tonight is to help you revolutionize your health, fitness, nutrition, and wellness nutritional plan. I'm a Reiki master, medical astrologer, master of numerology, card creator, and card reader. And I know I just said a whole lot. You're probably sitting there saying that's a huge bio. In any case, so just again to recap, this is all about revolutionizing your health, fitness, nutrition, and wellness prescription plan. And what does it all mean? If you're not familiar with the term revolutionize just means that I'm going to help you establish some new ways of thinking, perhaps shifting the mindset, getting rid of some beliefs, clearing energy, so you can be more aligned with the spiritual being that you are. I'm sure you've heard the expression at one point or another, you're a spiritual being having multitudes of human experiences. Well, that's exactly what I mean by revolutionizing your health, fitness, nutrition, and wellness. To get to a point where you can start to advocate for yourself and not be led by facilitators, practitioners, or influencers like myself. My biggest, I guess I shall use the word love, is to be able to teach and inspire, teach you to be able to do for yourself so you're not dependent on me. Because after all, one point or another, I may not be around at some point. So I do not want you to be dependent on how I do things and that you get sort of lost in the cold somewhere because you're so dependent on following me and just mirroring everything I do. So the job here is to help you better understand how to go about shifting the mindset. Now, before I dive into all of that, what I usually like to do is I like to set the tone, set the energy, set the frequency by pulling a card to help us set the intention as I go over more and more about this whole process of revolutionizing health, fitness, nutrition, and wellness. So as I mentioned, I am a card creator and card reader. I'm going to shuffle my deck. And the idea here is to focus in on your intention for tonight. What intention? And I also encourage you on a day-to-day to get in the habit to create daily intentions for yourself. It's like setting a goal, so to speak. However, it's a more high vibrational way of thinking of things, that intention that's going to lead you one step to the next step to getting whatever it is you want to accomplish done in your day. So let's get this card pulling and see where we go with our card for today. I'm loving this card. And the intention is success. And I'm going to use the word giggle when I pull this card, because success, what does success mean for you? What it means for you may not be the same thing that it means for me. And when we think about the word success and we attach it to, let's say, health, what is success when it comes to your health? What would that look like for you? This is an opportunity for you to reflect on what would it be like to be healthy, successfully healthy, where you take really good care of the body that you are in. After all, you only get one body, it's your temple, and when you start to really treasure it, then that's where you can really apply the word success. Now let's talk about success with fitness. That's a little bit more common because it's easier to gauge fitness and success versus health and success. So you may have a specific fitness goal, like perhaps maybe your goal is to go to the gym or get to your workout and lift a little heavier today. and you accomplish that goal, so then you feel successful at the end of that workout. Now let's apply success to your nutrition. That's another easy one when we think about it. Success with nutrition. Did you get the amount of water you need? Did you get your meditation in? Did you eat your frequent meals throughout the day? Did you practice fueling and feeding? Did you go to that point of making sure you're feeding your soul as well? So these are just little ways and little tips of how you can be successful in nutrition. Now, when we look at success with wellness, it's similar to success with health. Feeling more successful at your wellness program. How well are you? On a scale of 1 to 10, mental, is your mental state at the scale of 10? Is your joyful state at the scale of 10? Is your attitude at the scale of 10? And 10 meaning the highest number. So that's how you would gauge the word success when we look at our health, fitness, nutrition, and wellness. So our intention is to be successful. Now, if for whatever the reasons are, success doesn't sit well with you, maybe you have the word I'm hearing is negative experience to the word to success. So choose a different word if you like. The other thing here is the yellow energy. Now, if you know anything about your chakra system, which runs literally up your spine, down your spine, and our chakra system is associated with colors. And this particular color is associated with your solar plexus, which is your belly, your gut intuition, your gut knowing. Your gut is what I like to call your first brain, as opposed to being your second brain. When you can attune your frequency to your gut intuition, then you literally are the wisdom within yourself. And what do I mean by that? Once you get in the habit of trusting your gut intuition, using your gut, using your intuition to determine whether or not this would be a day that you want to have that piece of cake or the salad. And all this is about tapping into your intuition to determine what is the right thing for you for today. As I mentioned earlier, you being your best advocate, you advocating for yourself, you making decisions for yourself as opposed to the nutritionist, your dietitian, your coach, your life coach, your personal trainer for that matter. You learning how to navigate for yourself by using your gut intuition. And sometimes when we think about the gut intuition, sometimes it may feel a little blocked, or maybe you're feeling stagnation going on in the belly. And that's because there's worry, there's doubt, there's insecurity. And all of that needs to be moved out so that you can tap more into your intuition. So now let's talk about that number 8 here. Now, when we talk about 8 based on 2 subject matters, numerology and astrology. Based on numerology, the number 8 is about balance and harmony. It's about the infinity sign. It's about what you're achieving in life. That's that number 8. When we speak about the 8 regarding astrology, it's your success, it's accomplishments, it's awards, it's recognition. It's, again, balance. It's also associated with your darkest moments. It's about your secrets. It's about what it is that you guys have inherited in this lifetime. Now, when I speak on the word inheritance, we can speak of it in 2 ways. We can speak it in reference to money, where you're inheriting money from, let's say, a house or treasures, or the inheritance of your beliefs, your habits, your philosophies, could all very well fall under that terminology of inheritance. Now, I also want to bring your attention to that 8 energy based on the universal energy of 2024, the year. When you take those numbers and you add them up, you get an 8. This year specifically is an 8 vibration, which is known as our karmic reset. This is our opportunity to reset your karmic energy, reset your karmic contracts, and reset your karmic agreements. Now, this is where we're going to get into the juiciness of this conversation when we talk about our karmic agreements and contracts when it comes to revolutionizing your health, fitness, nutrition, and wellness. Now, before we get into the juice of all that, I want you to take a moment and think back for just a second, back to 2020, 4 years ago, when every one of us experienced the pandemic. And every one of us through that pandemic was encouraged. I like to use these words, encouraged and inspired to quiet ourselves down, to go into isolation, to go into a state of solitude. And all of this in regards to being quiet, in regards to being still, has more to do with the ability of tapping into our intuition. So at that very moment back in 2020, specifically in March of 2020, leading up to now, has given you opportunities in regards to tapping in to who you are from a soul level as the spiritual being that you are. Understanding that through that period of time, you were literally unwrapping spiritual gifts and probably were not even aware you were unwrapping spiritual gifts. Now you might be asking yourself, well, what spiritual gifts did I unwrap? The first one we already spoke about, which is your intuition, your gut knowing, becoming more sensitive to the energies and people around you. That when you get in large crowds, and when I use the word large crowds, I'm speaking on 5 people, 6 people, 10 people, and numbers even higher than that. The higher the crowd, the bigger the crowd, the more sensitive you become. And based on that sensitivity, you also pick up on the energies of everybody else. So the spiritual gift that comes along with that is being able to discover who you are on a soul level. Getting to that place of recognizing that your frequency has risen. Now, perhaps you're familiar with the terminology 3-dimension, 4-dimension, 5-dimension. And maybe you're not familiar. So let me explain. 3-dimensional energy is anything that you can see literally in front of you, anything that you can touch. Like this is a 3-dimension energy because I can touch it. And most of us are in our 3D energy prior to 2020. Since 2020, many of us have evolved and moved into the 4D energy, which is now about being able to see those shadows, perhaps hear voices, perhaps feel the energy around you when you know that there's no one there, which is that spiritual energy of connecting with spirit. That's that 4D vibration. Now, when we speak about the 5D vibration, the 5D vibration is about the higher consciousness. It's about the spiritual knowing. It's about the wisdom. It's about the evolution. It's about the spiritual growth. And since 2020, every one of us have been climbing the stairs, elevating into our frequencies. So when we think about the fact that we have elevated our frequencies from a 3D frequency, now let's remember that 3D frequency is very much associated with our ego and also very much associated with our belief system, perhaps old beliefs, things that might have been in alignment to who we were prior to 2020. But now that our frequency has elevated, our vibration is higher, many of those beliefs may no longer really be aligned with what you believe now. So when we can connect this whole process of our spiritual gifts, our frequencies, the 3, the 4, and the 5D frequencies. And do keep in mind that you can be in 2 frequencies at the same time, where you could be in a 3D moving your way up to a 4D. And once you move into that 4D, it's very rare that you come back down to that 3D. The same way where you could be at your 4D, moving your way up to your 5D. And very rare that you'll move back down to the 4D. So it's constantly climbing up the stairs. So again, coming back to the belief systems in regards to how you, and I'm going to use this word, how you manage, how you connect with fueling and feeding. Now let me break it down. When we talk about fueling, the fueling is the energy, the food. Now when I speak of food, it could be like literally food, like a slice of pizza, piece of chicken, a bowl of salad, a bowl of grapes, whatever it is. The food, which is the energy, and also everything that we pay attention to, what we listen to, what we watch, and who we're connected with. That's energy too that we are feeding, fueling into our body system. So we have to pay attention to that energy as much as we have to pay attention to the actual energy we're putting into our bodies. And then the concept of feeding. The feeding aspect is about feeding your inner child. Now, how many of you can relate to the fact that as a child, perhaps you were told children should be seen and not heard? Children should keep their hands in their pockets so they don't touch anything to break anything? Or maybe even heard that you were compared to, so maybe you weren't good enough, that somebody else was better than you. So these are all the things that our inner child has been fed. It's now our job to pull those thoughts out and feed our inner child something different. So our inner child can be heard, can be seen, can be recognized, and can feel like she or he is enough. So when we think about the concept of fueling and feeding, it's so much more than just the calories we're putting in our bodies in regards to giving ourselves energy. Because even that is going to give us energy. It's either going to give us the energy to get things going because we get excited, or it's going to give us energy that's going to cause us to slow down and get sluggish and be still. So think about those two concepts right then and there of fueling and feeding. Based on this intuitive individual that you are, this intuitive being that you are now since 2020, it is now your responsibility, your job, to take care of your inner child and make sure you're giving your inner child what she or he is desiring. So if you do have that desire for something sweet, that desire for something sweet is coming from the inner child because that inner child is looking for the sweetness in life. So it's really important to make sure you are listening to the inner voice and giving the inner voice the power so your inner child can feel heard. And this way it allows you to receive. Now, I also want to bring your attention to a few concepts. When we talk about this whole frequency concept, and we talk about weight in itself, body weight, which is a big topic theoretically in the health industry, in the fitness industry, and even in the nutrition industry. For many, many years, I know I've been on this earth for 54 years, and I have been in the health, fitness, nutrition, and wellness industry for 40 plus years. That's a lot of years. And I have seen and I have heard and I have actually experienced the process of bad dieting, calorie deficits, tracking our calories, restricting calories, and even getting to that point where we tell ourselves we can't have, so we restrict and we limit the very food that our body needs in regards to nourishment. We have been programmed to believe that we are supposed to be a certain weight based on our height, And these statistics are extremely old school statistics. These statistics have not been changed in over 50 years. In fact, the food pyramid that we all very well know way back when we were all in elementary school and learned a little bit about nutrition, we all learned about the food pyramid. And our food pyramids in the last 7 or 10 years have changed 3 times. 3 times. And where it originated from is to be able to feed, and the best way to say this, and that spirit is guiding me to say it, is to be able to feed those who lived in poverty. Meaning, make sure they got the rice that's going to fill them up, and limiting the amount of meat, etc., etc. So that pyramid the food pyramid was actually designed based on the poor. And over the years, it was redesigned with the process of food portion control, where it was a plate and a fork, and specifically portion control based on how much you should consume, based on the size of your hand, the thickness of your hand, based on each finger, etc., etc. And then I did the most recent one, or the one before the plate, had a staircase to it, because then they started accounting for the actual movement that we were required to do in the course of a day to keep us at bay in regards to how many calories we should be eating. So again, coming back to revolutionizing your health, fitness, nutrition, and wellness prescription plan is learning and understanding the process of what your weight is connected to and the story behind it. Let me explain. When we think of the word obesity or overweight or even fat, metaphysically speaking, the meaning behind is the weight that shows up is a psychological weight, a psychological wall that you have built that shows up physically around your body to protect you and keep you safe from something or someone. Now, ideally, the key here is to be able to evaluate, reflect back to the time when you start noticing the weight was coming on, which is what I do with clients like yourself. I sit with them and have them review, reflect to when that weight started showing up. What was going on in your life at the time? Was there a loss? Was there grief? Was there a change in your life? Young girls hitting puberty. Maybe in the mid-20s, a relationship change. Maybe in late 30s, early 40s, you went through a change of life. So there's so many different reasons for why there would be a shift in body weight. So when we can think about the story and go to that story and review that story, the most important factor to that story is being able to get to a place where you can forgive the situation. And if that situation includes another person, then the forgiveness comes in. Once you are ready to move into that space of forgiveness, the forgiveness is the highest level of healing, which then at that point of time, that will be when you start to notice the physical weight start to slowly release. Has absolutely nothing to do with changing of diet, has nothing to do with your calorie deficit. It doesn't have anything to do with a high protein diet. It all has to do with connecting with the story that's connected with the weight. So going back in time to when the weight showed up. Now, I spoke on earlier of the concept of an agreement or contract with your weight. We have agreements and contracts with everything. So, for example, you and I right here have a contract right now during this time. So if you're sitting here listening to this conversation, there's an agreement that we have during this time. And we have an agreement with every single person we come in contact with. And the same, that's a similar agreement to what we have when it comes to our weight. Now, I speak on this next topic a lot. And this next topic is about the chapter or the cycle that you were in at the time of your life. What do I mean by that? So let's just say, and now that we're in 2024, many of you, and I can contest, many of you are probably going through some sort of challenge in your life. After all, we are in the 8 energy year. It is a karmic reset cycle, which means we are clearing karmic energy. Now, when I use the word clearing karmic energy, this is not about what goes around comes around. This is your karmic cycle. And this is an opportunity where you can literally sit and start asking yourself, do I want to continue carrying this physical weight around me? Or am I really ready to work on healing the story that this weight is connected to? And if you are ready to heal the weight that the story is connected to, you would then be able to clear that contract. Now, it's not as cut and dry as it sounds. It really is about being able to go into the deeper portion of that story and getting to that place where you can forgive the situation. Now, as I said before, the chapter of your life. So let's say right now you're in the dark side of a story in your life. There's something going on in your life, and it's the darkest area of your life. At that point in time, you may have a contract at that point in time to put on a little bit of weight. That weight is there perhaps to slow you down a little bit. Now, if you've ever carried extra weight, you know that by carrying extra weight, you sort of move a little slower. Now, when I use the word carrying extra weight, I'm not speaking of extra muscle weight. I'm speaking of extra weight. And I'll talk about that in a minute, what I mean by the difference between the two. So if you carry extra weight, you may not be able to move as quickly as you would be moving if you were less weight. Hold on 1 second, you can get a little water. So the chapter of your life that you're in at this time, darkest moments of your life, you may have a contract with having a little extra weight just to slow you down, just to get you to be more grounded, more centered, and more focused. So you can literally deal with the situation that you're in at this point in time. Once you move to that darkest part of your life, you may start to notice over time that the weight starts to release as well. Because you no longer need the weight to keep you slow or to keep you grounded. So I want you to keep that in mind, and I want you to start really thinking about if you are carrying extra weight. Where are you in your life right now? What is your journey? What are you doing? Do you need that extra weight because you need to stand your ground and be that leader? Sometimes we hold on to that extra weight because we're the leader and we don't want to get knocked down. So subconsciously, this is why the weight is there. So there's so many reasons to why someone may actually be holding on to a little extra weight. And dieting or calorie deficit is definitely not the answer, because that's not going to help you release the weight until you address the connection to the weight. And that's a really important part of this process of understanding that this is about revolutionizing the whole approach to fair dieting, calorie deficits, tracking calories, limiting or restricting yourself from certain foods because you have been programmed to believe that certain foods are going to cause you to either feel bloated or just doesn't work with your system. These are things that we have been programmed to believe. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about the process of the chapter that you're in and the weight that you may be holding on to, that there are specific foods that I'm going to use the word crave because that seems to be a word that most of us understand. And when we're craving certain foods, again, it comes back to the chapter that you're on. So let's say, for example, you are a vegetarian or vegan. And in theory, you really don't eat meat, or you don't eat cheese, or you don't eat dairy. But then all of a sudden, you're finding yourself craving the meat, the cheese, the dairy. This comes back to the process that you are a spiritual being, and that you're in a chapter of your life, some point where you need grounding. Because meat is the most grounding food we can eat to help us ground ourselves, to help us get more to the point where we're connected to the earth. So we're not floating, we're not distracted, we're not overwhelmed, we're not anxious. I'm sure there's at least one person who's watching who has experienced anxiety on a daily basis. And that could very well be a classic case to the process of needing to get grounded, because your mind is everywhere. So looking at the dietary habits to determine what food can you fuel yourself with that's going to help ground your energy, to get you to be more centered to the earth and not floaty and distracted and thinking of everything and everything. So when we think of this whole process of the weight that we carry and releasing the weight, the understanding of we're releasing the weight as opposed to losing the weight. What's the difference between the two? Releasing means we're making a decision to work on something, specifically emotion, and we're going to work on that emotion, heal the emotion, and when we get to that place of healing the emotion, we may very well be ready to release the weight that was connected to the emotion. Losing the weight, on the other hand, think about losing your favorite bracelet, or your favorite perfume, or your favorite pocketbook, or your favorite tie. You will probably tear your house apart until you find it. It is the same concept psychologically when it comes to weight. So if you lose weight based on dieting or calorie deficits or restrictions, psychologically, because your body called in that weight for something, and it does not feel safe right now because you went about losing the weight, your body is going to start calling that weight back in. That's why calorie deficits and dieting never work. That's why the average person that diets loses the same 25 to 50 pounds. They lose it, they gain it. They lose it, they gain it. And that's the very reason why, because psychologically, your body is calling back that weight because you literally lost it and your body does not feel safe. So think about that just for a minute. Think about that just for a moment. That's a lot to take in and a lot to understand. Now we go back again to our frequencies raising. We go back again to our intuition. We go back again to the fact that we are at a higher frequency. We're in a different dimension. Because we're in a different dimension now, the old process, the old ways that we have been programmed to believe, we were taught this in school in regards to how much we should eat carbohydrates, how much protein, how much fat. And because again, the industry, the health and fitness and wellness industry has embedded in our heads that it's so important to be a certain weight and look a certain way. That the first thing on our mind is that if we are 5 pounds overweight on the scale, we right away want to diet. My approach isn't about dieting. My approach is not about weight loss. My approach is, if you come to me, if you reach out to me, we have a Zoom call, and you're 180 pounds, and maybe you're just about 5'5", and your approach is, I want to lose 30 pounds. My approach is, I want to help you transform and reshape that 180 pounds. So it's not about dieting, it's about transforming it. It's about reshaping it. It's about creating this revolutionized approach, coming away from what the number is on your scale and becoming more knowledgeable and more aware and attuned to creating a healthier and stronger body. So as you reshape, and when I use the words reshape, it is about strength training. It's about lifting weights. It's about strength training with what's called progressive overload. Progressive overload means that you are going to increase something, whether it's the weight, the repetition, or the set. And this increasement happens every 2 weeks. So this right here, your body is going to constantly get to see the results you're looking to see without having to add more time to what you are doing. So over time, within around 4 to 6 weeks, you will start to see your body reshaping, taking up less space because you now have more muscle mass and less fat. Yet you may step on a scale and notice that you still weigh that 180 pounds. And you may ask yourself, how is that possible? Because now you have more muscle than you do fat. And you're healthier and you're stronger. And as long as you continue the process of strength training with progressive overload, you will continue to transform your body without dieting, without a calorie restriction, without a calorie deficit. Now think about these two words, limitations and restriction. Just think about those two words just for a moment. Because again, this is about the revolutionizing aspects of things, is really about looking at how you can shift your mindset so you can revolutionize things and bring those things into the time frame that you were in, the frequency that you were in. So if you're thinking about restriction and limitation regarding your food, not only does that spill onto your food, but it spills onto everything else in your life. So now that means you're going to limit your opportunities and you're going to restrict your opportunities. You're going to limit your success and you're going to restrict your success. Now, you may or may not be familiar with the terminology of the universe. The universe listens to everything you say. However, the universe does not compartmentalize different things. The universe isn't going to say, okay, she only wants to restrict and limit her food. This isn't going to affect her business. This isn't going to affect her money. This isn't going to affect her partnerships. It's only going to affect the food. That's not true. The universe just hears that you want to restrict and you want to limit. So that's going to fall over into everything in your life. So remember that card of success? You're going to limit and restrict that. Because your belief system. So this is the process that we want to get rid of the word restriction and we want to get rid of the word limitation. We want to have unlimited opportunities when it comes to fueling our body. We want to know that we want to fuel and feed our body. We want to be so full of abundance, full of joy, full of energy. Because that's exactly what the fuel is. It's energy. Energy, so we have the energy to do the different things we want to do. Energy, so we are energized and connecting with like-minded people and not restricting ourselves from like-minded people. So we have to pay attention to what it is we are being programmed and what philosophies we are literally picking up. Now I get it. I totally understand that. Right now your mind might be blown away because you're probably sitting back and saying, this is totally different from what all the other nutritionists, life coach, personal trainers, health facilitators are all saying. They're all talking about calorie deficits. They're talking about you got to track your steps. You got to do your 10,000 steps a day. In fact, the American Heart Association says that. Go back and look in regards to the research. The last time the American Heart Association changed that. It has not been changed in years. 10,000 steps a day. Now, I'm not saying do not do your 10,000 steps a day. What I am suggesting is to become aware, to become attuned to the fact that if this is how many, if you're going to exert those calories by taking 10,000 steps a day, you need to replenish your body. You need to put those calories back into your body, because what's going to happen to your body if you continue to walk those 10,000 steps a day, all the hard work you're doing, assuming you are doing the strength training with progressive overload, what's going to happen is your body's going to start eating the muscle, because you're not giving it the enough calories, the energy, to do what it needs to do. So I want you to really think about this revolutionized approach to what it is you're actually doing. So if you are counting, keeping track of how many active calories you're exerting in your day, and how many calories you're taking in your day, and if you find that your active calories are outnumbering your intake, you're in what's called a calorie deficit, which is one of the reasons why you're having such a challenging time seeing the results you're seeing. And that is contributing to the many health issues and the very common topic that's going on right now for us women over 40, menopause. Menopause. Now, my philosophy is menopause is, again, a metaphysical term. There's always two sides to our story. There's a medical term and the metaphysical term to menopause. Menopause, the symptoms that you experience during menopause, if you understood the spiritual concepts, for example, most who experience hot flashes have been told that they're in menopause. Hot flashes is the same concept when your body temperature rises when you're connecting with spirit. When you are having a spiritual connection, your body temperature is going to rise. Yes. When we are experiencing full moon lunar eclipse, which is what we just had yesterday, our body is going to retain a little extra water. That might look like bloat. Menopausal bloat. No. It's a spiritual connection to the full moon's energy. So again, I'm here to just share with you the other side to that coin. So you can perhaps open your mind to think of things in a different way than you've thought about them before. Do you really need to walk 10,000 steps a day? I don't think so. I don't think so. The newest concept in regards to blood sugar is at the end of your day, after your last meal of your day, if you've had a meal that spiked your blood sugar, the newest guideline is to go out and take a 30-minute walk to bring your blood sugar down. Here's what I have for you. Rather than taking a 30-minute walk after you had that meal that spiked your blood sugar, choose 2 exercises. You could do push-ups, whether you do them against the counter, against the wall, leaning on a couch, or full on the floor, and maybe body squats or wall squats. Do those 2 exercises. Perform them 10 times. Do it 3 times. 10 repetitions and 3 sets. You'll probably do it for about 15 minutes. That is going to help you bring your blood sugar down. And you'll actually get more benefits, because now what you're doing is you're actually going to enhance your muscle mass, where you don't have to go and take a 30-minute walk. Now, again, I'm not against the walking. You want to go for a walk, that's perfect. But you do want to understand what your prescription plan looks like. How much of it that you are doing. How much walking, how much strength training with progressive overload are you engaging in? Because that's what's going to either make or break your progress to getting the results you're getting. Now, I'm hearing that there are more and more facilitators speaking about, for the women out there over 40, the process of eliminating cardio altogether. And I use the word cardio, that could be walking, running, treadmill, bike, whatever it is, dancing, Zoomering, whatever you want to fall underlying that's going to elevate your heart rate. Eliminating it altogether and utilizing that time to do a 20-minute strength training progressive overload program. most days of the week. There's 7 days to a week. I recommend that you do at least 5 days of strength training progressive overload. Give yourself 2 days to rest. Or you could take those 2 days and do maybe a yoga and stretch routine. And then if you want to do that walk, you can go for that walk. You can fit it in, but you don't want it to be your main ingredient to your prescription plan. Because if you are looking to see results, you need to understand how to revolutionize this plan so you can get the best results. Again, our word success. You want to be successful. You want to be strong and you want to be healthy. Now, for you ladies over 40 who happen to be skinny, and you're thinking, well, I don't have to worry about this because I'm skinny. Yes, you need to worry about it too because there's such a term called skinny fat, where if you are thin and you are not strength training or progressive overload, it just means that you have a small frame that is mostly fat and under muscle. And the idea is you want to up the muscle and decrease the fat. So this whole approach of revolutionizing, coming away from the old methodology in regards to what is it we're doing, how we're approaching food. As I said earlier, we are spiritual beings having human experiences. And it's time that we start allowing our health, fitness, nutrition, and wellness match the frequency that we are now at and become more attuned to our intuition, working with our intuition, becoming more aware of our intuition guiding us to, is this the right thing for me to have for today? Could be the right thing for today, and then checking in again tomorrow may not be the right thing. So it's a day-to-day check-in so you can better understand how to connect with your physical body. Your physical body is your biggest messenger. Your physical body will let you know what it needs and what it doesn't need. And one of the biggest conceptions and myths for that matter when it comes to menopause is most of the women that experience quote unquote menopause symptoms is because they're under eating. They're not eating enough calories to protect their hormones. So they have an imbalance of hormones. And it's all related to the fact that they're under eating calories. So we're at that point where we're coming to the end of this. And I can go on and I can go on and I can go on. But what I like to do is take a minute. I want to look at the comments and see if there's anything here that needs me to bring my attention to. Yes. And again, I want to say this like this. I'm not against you going for a walk. I'm not against you taking a Zumba class. I'm not against you putting on music and dancing. I'm not against you getting onto a bike. I'm not against that at all. What I'm asking that you do is create a prescription plan that strength training progressive load is the highest thing you are doing, and that you're doing that most days of the week, and that the walking and the stretching should be done daily, by the way. Stretching is underrated. We do not give stretching enough power, and that's another reason why so many of us do have issues in our tissues because we're not stretching. We're not doing things to increase mobility. And again, I can go on and go on about this. This can layers and layers of conversation. But it's the understanding of the prescription plan. The walking is supplementing. It's not the main dose. Your strength training progressive overload is your main dose. Calorie deficit, when you are literally defeating yourself with calories, under eating your calories, you're not going to give your body the energy it needs to do what it needs to do. Knowing what chapter in the cycle you are in right now in your life. Are you in that chapter where you're grieving? Have you lost something? A job? A friend? Your home? Has somebody crossed over? These are all processes of loss. And if you've lost something, there's right there a reason why your body may very well be holding on to weight. I want to bring something else to your attention. I want to bring planets into the conversation for a quick minute. Planets. Are we familiar with the planet Jupiter? Jupiter is known for our spiritual evolution, our spiritual growth, our spiritual gifts. Right now, Jupiter is in Gemini. Gemini is a zodiac sign for communication, networking, brainstorming, media, collaborations. It's an air sign, so it's intellectual. Now, when we think about Jupiter, whatever zodiac sign Jupiter is in, Jupiter is about expansion. Not only the physical and the material things that expand, your body weight expands. So if you happen to have your sun, moon, or ascending sign in Gemini at this moment, you may be in a cycle in your life where you've noticed a little weight has shown up due to Jupiter. Due to Jupiter. Now, there are several other planets that are associated with weight as well, but Jupiter is the primary planet. So again, we have to reflect on what chapter we are in our life in order to define what the weight is connected to. You need to learn your story. You need to go back and review, when did the weight start to come on? What was associated with the weight? What emotion was associated with the weight? Because until you're ready to address that emotion and work on healing that emotion, is when that weight will start to slowly release as you begin to tell your story. To conclude, it's not about weight loss. It's not about dieting. It is strictly about the agreement and contract that you have with weight. Now, if you want to learn more about where you are on your journey, the weight that you're carrying, and you would love to learn more about that, I would love to have a conversation with you. I believe somewhere along the line, my calendar link is floating around. Feel free to go ahead and grab a spot, a 15-minute complimentary session. You and I can have a conversation to self-discover when that weight started coming on. And in that session, I will almost guarantee you, if you're willing to, at that time, in that session, I can help you release the story to that. And in that session, I can almost guarantee you, if you're ready to, that within a matter of anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 weeks, you will start to notice the weight will come off. As you move into what I like to call strength training progressive overload, you will be able to maintain muscle mass. You will not release the weight and get flabby. You will actually incorporate muscle mass. So if you are interested in discovering where the weight comes from, if you are interested in discovering what chapter of your life you're in right now, what is your story that you're in right now? Are you in joy? Are you in grief? Are you in sadness? Are you in anger? Are you in frustration? Are you in resistance? Where are you? Because that's going to determine how your body is holding on to weight. Because our body needs the weight. Our inner child needs to be seen, heard, and appreciated. And it's your job to make sure your inner child is seen, is heard, is connected to, and is receiving. Every time you think about restricting or limiting something when it comes to your energy, regarding fueling and feeding your body, you are literally blocking yourself from receiving. Remember the word success. It's amazing on how this card showed up and how it fits so nicely in tonight's conversation. So again, I want to leave you with this. If you walk away with anything tonight, this is what I want to leave you with. This is what I want to leave you with. You are a spiritual being having a multitude of human experiences. Where you are in your chapter right now, is going to define how your body reacts to you. Your body is your biggest messenger. So whatever's going on with your body, know that your body is sending you a message. If your body is inflamed, inflammation metaphysically means you are angry. If you have inflammation in any area of your body, there's a hidden anger that you need to address. Once you address that hidden anger, you will begin to notice the inflammation will decrease. So it really is about going back to your story, discovering, self-discovery. Now, so many of us focus on wanting to learn things. We want to learn, we want to learn, we want to learn. The best rewarding lesson and teaching that you can do right now is learn about yourself, self discovery. Take on this opportunity to discover who you are from a soul level. Become curious of numerology. Become curious of astrology. Become curious of crystals. Become curious of Reiki healing. These are just some of the modalities that I work with when I work with you to help you tap into who you are from a soul level. So again, you're a spiritual being having multitudes of human experiences. It's time that you start advocating for yourself and begin to revolutionize your health, your fitness, your wellness, and nutrition. And when you do, you won't go back. You won't go back. You'll be ready to take on the world and you'll be ready to understand there's different chapters. And wherever you are, the stronger you are, because you'll become the strongest version of yourself and continue to be that stronger version of you. Especially for my women over 40, it is so important for your health to begin your strength training progressive overload and focus on fueling your body. Your fuel is your energy. Fill yourself up. Say yes to the cake. Say yes to whatever it is you choose to want to eat. Allow your intuition to guide you on what is the right thing for you. Do not be influenced by the outside. Get the support, but be your best advocate. Again, I'm Reverend Joanne Angel Barry Cologne, the founder of Holistic Fitness and Why. And if you are interested in grabbing that self-growth discovery session, my calendar link is scrolling right on the bottom. I would love to have a conversation with you. I would love to help you discover who you are from the soul level. Work on releasing that story that you've been carrying, perhaps for lifetimes ago. And maybe get to the place where you can release the issues from your tissues and begin to fall in love with you. So you can see yourself as the best version of who you are. I so thank you for spending your time with me tonight. And I wish you a world of success. Success on this journey as you revolutionize your health, fitness, nutrition, and wellness prescription plan. May you have an amazing, amazing rest of the night and week. Namaste.